All right, welcome back. COVID and the pandemic, I think they really screwed up our way of life. I'm sure other people would agree with that. It's had a part in mudding up our economy and our economic reports that we get out daily from the government, specifically with the stuff that comes out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. But we also lost moral clarity on debt, deficits, and spending, I think, right? Our natural, innate feelings of responsible spending and looking after one another, they were dealt a pretty heavy blow, I think. Simply put, I think we've just kind of lost our way morally because of it. Some people were so scared of the virus that the only thing that mattered was survival at any cost. But now, after the fog has cleared, we can see clearly now, but our judgment is still a little bit blurry. So much so that the Vice President J.D. Vance has threatened to turn off federal funding for government health insurance programs in states that refuse to comply with the Trump administration's crackdown on suspected fraud. States which fail to get serious about fraud would lose Medicaid and Medicare funding, the U.S. Vice President announced on Wednesday. So there you go, right? This sparked fresh accusations that Trump officials are using unfounded allegations to punish political rivals. Unfounded allegations? Are you kidding me? The numbers don't lie. It's just math. So I wanted my next guest to weigh in on the subject, so please welcome into the show Dr. Carol Swain, coming to us from Brentwood, Tennessee. Thanks for being on the show, Doctor. I really appreciate it. Everybody loves what you got to say. What are your thoughts on this subject?
Well, there needs to be more accountability. What we have found is that in certain states and localities, we have been robbed blind by Medicaid and Medicare fraud. The people that engaged in the illegal behavior, they may be a minority, but everyone will suffer as a result. So that's one thing I think. The other thing I think is I would love to see the Trump administration go after the NIH and some of those organizations where the scientists own patents, they invest in the pharmaceuticals, and then they approve them and push them out. There needs to be no conflict of interest there. So J.D. Vance, Trump administration, it's a lot they can clean up.
Don't you think that kind of over the pandemic, we just threw the money at the problem, right? We didn't want to solve, I mean, we wanted to solve it, but so much capital was involved and so much money, we really kind of panicked. And it really kind of distorted people's view because all the money was coming in and nobody was really keeping track of it. We didn't have controls on it. You're right about the accountability. And I think that everybody just kind of loosened their disciplines on what was normal in life. And now we've got these people, some of them coming to the country and they're new immigrants to the country that are getting involved in these scams and taking money from our American taxpayers. And nobody really has been keeping an eye on it and really nobody cared. So now finally, it seems that with money really now being tight and our debts and our deficits really being front and center, we're having to do something about it. And it's made it all the way up to the top with the president and the vice president.
I would agree. And I would also say that the fraudulent behavior in government programs, that's been going on for a long time. And I find it very interesting that they're finding that in Somalian communities across the country, and I wouldn't doubt that, cities like Nashville, anywhere you have a critical mass, they're probably doing the same thing. It's just a matter of time before they get indicted. And for some of us, and this is politically incorrect, we associate, that kind of fraudulent behavior at that scale with some of those emails we used to get from the Nigerians. They've become much more sophisticated in some of the fraudulent behavior, but the Somalians, they're such nice, sweet people. It's hard to believe that they did this, but I would imagine that behind them are some progressive politicians that know the system, taught them how to work the system, and benefited more than they did.
Well, I mean, there's probably a lot more to come out about that, and we don't have enough time to go into it, but there's probably some big issues with these NGOs as well and the whole thing. And, it's again, it goes back to, I just feel like there was such a wave of capital because I'm we're so undisciplined now because people learned to be undisciplined when there was so much money around, right? I feel like we need to go back to 2019, Dr. Swain, and whatever your budget was in 2019, whatever division of the government you're running, and then I would index that against inflation up to 2026 and say, there's your budget. That's the money you have to spend. But we have blown those budgets to smithereens with so much money hitting the system that it was almost impossible to track, and it really gave rise to all these unscrupulous people because they knew that nobody was going to be there overlooking the situation. So I would start with the budgets and then go from there, but I'm not in charge, so it's not my idea, but I do think you're exactly right, and that's the first word that you said. It's all about accountability.
That's right. And I think you have a brilliant idea. Send it to JD Vance and his team.
We'll see. With all the other emails I send them too. But I appreciate you coming on. Always great to hear what you have to say. I know you've got something super to say. And by the way, people write in after you're on all the time. They love what Dr. Carol Swain has to say. We appreciate you coming on the show every week. Dr. Swain, have a great weekend if I don't talk to you. Thanks for being on. We really appreciate the content. All right, time now to dial up the old cow phone.